Okay, perfect. Alrighty. So thank you so much for inviting me to talk about the lead lift tools here. And let me just have the gallery so I know who I'm having here. So yeah, I am super excited to do that. And I talked to Sri before, and he thought Luis had to convince me, but it wasn't like that. I said talking about the light lift tools is my favorite thing to do because they are so powerful. And I learned first about them back in Germany in 1996, and then I was like, don't do this, don't do that, and I'm like, whatever. And then I was invited to translate the workshop that Slim Spurling came to Germany for. And so usually I didn't prepare. Obviously, I'm not a professional, but he sent a workbook about the tools that what he's handing out at his workshops. And so I got super excited when I learned about the tools. And I thought, oh my God, I got to help this man to get them out in the world. And at that time, he had only a product, 3 rings, 3 harmonizers, and what is called an Akuba coil and a feedback loop. So only a product, but what they could do for the planet was like, oh my God, they have to get out. And so I always say I fell in love with the tools before I fell in love with Slim. He was the icing on the cake, so I thought, okay, I helped him to get the tools out, and I didn't think I would ever marry him. I was just like, where there's a will, there's a way. And when I first came over to visit him, I was like, okay, nobody is here who would do it. So if it meant to be, it's up to me. And so, and I started, and then 3 years later, we got married. And so obviously I moved over here and I started the business because Slim didn't want to have a business. And I said, hey, when people call you, you want to be able to sell it to them right away because, he had only a handful of distributors. And so I'm like, that doesn't work. People want to have it when they talk to you. And so anyway, long story short, the time together was very short. He transitioned in 2007, but it was almost like I felt we don't have enough time. So I hired someone to, like Hal Garrison at the time, to write a book about him. So she interviewed Slim and wrote the first book, which is available as ebook. It's Slim Spurling's Universe. And then yeah, it was just like we went to conferences, and Slim was he was amazing. He was like, later I had someone do a reading and he didn't know anything about the tools. He didn't know anything about Slim. And he was like, who was this man? He was not from this world, was he? So he had a really amazing energy, and his commitment was to bring, to restore the health of the planet. And in the 90s, Denver was known for its brown cloud. Obviously, I didn't live there at the time. And so he was so upset about that he wanted to find a solution to clean the air, and not only in Denver, but basically worldwide. And so, so this month is really very special because in March 18, 1994, he did the first Denver clearing project. And those of you who lived in Denver at the time, I had people telling me, oh yeah, I lived there. And I knew it wasn't what the news were trying to tell us, like all the regulations got us clean air. We knew it was something else. And so anyway, so that was Slim's desire. And when I came, I moved here officially in 2001, and in 2003 I incorporated, and that was also in March. So we are celebrating actually 20 years of what are you looking at each other, Chidi? So,
our wedding was in March, and
okay. So March is an important date for you as well. So I love that. So anyway, yeah. So it was like, okay. So it's 20 years anniversary, and so what we are going to do is, and Slim, those of you who have never met him, I highly recommend to watch the video, the interview that Ellen Steinfeld did with him in 2006, and there it's my favorite of all because Slim has a way to really explain the tools in a way that even lay people can understand it, because you could really go into the science and make it complicated. But one of his talents and gifts was that he could take the most important, difficult subject and that make it digestible so that we can all basically understand it. And so anyway, yeah, in this video, he says, if I live long enough, I want to clean the air on the west coast of the United States, because he said the air from China, and when we clear the air on the west coast, then the whole nation is going to benefit from that. And so, and I'm going into the tools in a little bit for those who have not. Is there anybody who knows the tools or doesn't know anything? Who knows about the tools? A little bit. Okay. So, and I get to them in a moment, but I just want to share because I'm so super excited about it. And so we were looking at what can we do to celebrate the 20-year anniversary. And then it was like, okay, we want to follow through with what Slim was planning and cleaning the air on the west coast. And then when we looked at the map from the US, then we saw it's not only the west coast that is polluted, and it's not even that polluted anymore, but there are other areas that need our attention also. So we are starting in March, actually on the 23rd of this month, and we go in 4 phases, like West Coast, Midwest, Central, and then East Coast. And so we are finishing in June when the hurricane season starts on the East Coast. And I tell you more about that. But anyway, so this is all the excitement I want to share right away because it's awesome. And you get a chance to answer questions before we finish at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. So that's what he created. What he first started out with was the light leaf ring. And I take my picture off in a moment. This is one of our rings that you see here. This is our new dimension ring. And so Slim, I take it off now. Wait, I'm in my office. So then you can see it better. So yeah, so that's the first ring, and it is a Sacred Cubit ring, and he used the measurement of the pyramid, which is 20.6 inches, which you find in the Pyramid of Giza when the pyramid was created. And so the first rings were just a simple piece of wire put together and soldered. But when you take your wedding ring, for example, and you put the pendulum over, you will see that one side, the pendulum shows to the right when you ask, show me the energy flow, and the other, and if you turn it over, the other side goes to the left. But our rings, and that was, Slim was, among many other things, a self-taught blacksmith. So he went and thought, okay, what can I do that we have a right spin which is beneficial on both sides? So he came up with twisting the wire so that we have now a right spin on both sides of our rings. And the rings, the effect of the ring is inside the ring. There is what's called this tensor field. And so if you go with your hand in it, some people can feel it like an invisible glove is going over your hand. And what Sri was saying earlier about the scalar waves, what we were found was that our rings actually enhance the scalar energy. So scalar energy is all over the planet. However, on some areas, it is less powerful, and this rings seem to help enhance the scalar energy. So, and they seem to really bring more life force energy. So wherever you cover it, you know, like if you have a headache, you put it on your head. Or I gave rings to a class that with special ed children and autistic children, put the rings over on their head when they felt, you know, stressed, and it transformed within 30 days the whole class. So yeah, they were, for the first time, one of the students was able to go to a public school. And before, the kids were like, you know, not having any friends, very nobody loves me. Sometimes the teacher said they had tantrums, that they didn't have any more timeout space in the room because it was just crazy. And when they started getting the rings and the coils and a harmonizer, all of a sudden they were like, oh, I think you need they call it the crown, so you need the crown, and they would hand it over, and it completely transformed the whole class, you know. So anyway, so this is, and if you would come to my house, you would see I have them everywhere. Like this size, I have a gas stove, I have them over each burner. I have a bigger size on my fridge. I have one over my computer. Right now I'm in my office. I have rings over the phone, over the router. I have a pull-out for my keyboard where I have a ring, so my laptop is in the ring, and the monitors. And yeah, I always say you cannot have enough rings. And so when you say, okay, we have rings in different sizes, you know, and so depending on what you want to do is this is how you choose a ring. And like if you work a lot on the computer, this one is a good one to wear over your left arm. By the left arm, because in the early stage, Slim had a chance to do dark field microscope testing. And what they saw was when the blood had the red blood cells glutinate, so they have this, I don't know what the name is. It looks like those sweets, the drops, you know, they're just sticking together instead of flowing freely. And when they put the ring over the test, then the red blood cells starting flowing freely again. And this is what we want, because they are responsible for the oxygen transport. So if you want to have more oxygen, and when we work a lot on the computer, then our red blood cells have a tendency to stick together. That means the oxygen doesn't flow freely anymore. And when we put it on our left arm, this is where the blood goes directly to our heart. And so this is why we want to have it on the left arm. If you're going hiking, if you want to improve the taste of your water, I was actually on a vacation in Mexico, and I went out with a friend, and I always have a ring and put it automatically over my water. And so that's what I did. And then finally, you know, she said, this water tastes horrible. Can I have your ring? And so she didn't know much about it. And I said, sure. So she put the ring over there, and she said, how long? I said, I don't know, just wait a little. And then she was amazed. She said, oh my God, the taste of the water changed completely, so that she could drink it. And this happens many, many times, you know, or if you like to drink wine and someone gave you a cheap bottle of red wine, put the ring over it, and magic happens. And you know, there's the story, someone said they gave to a restaurant owner a ring to put over the cheap wine, and he said he's not doing that anymore because he sells more cheap wine now than the expensive one. So you know, there are many miracles that can happen with a ring like that. Or you can put it over your gas tank. People report after about 3 filling, you have better mileage. I was at a conference, and there was a gentleman complaining about lower back problems. I asked him to put the ring, tuck it in his belt, and 2 years later, the conference is every 2 years, he came back to my booth and he turned around and he had the ring still in his belt, and he said that was the end of his back issues, you know. So I always say the applications are limited by your mind, by your fantasy, you know. In a workshop, a lady was telling me in the middle of the night, and I don't know why it always happens in the middle of the night, that the fire alarm goes off, you know, so the battery is empty. And she put a ring under the fire alarm and it stopped, you know. So I would have never thought of that, but that's what she did, and it helped, you know. So anyway, the rings are coming in different sizes, and we also have a heavier one, you know, and we use 3 different measurements. And the one that Slim started with is called the Sacred Cubit, and that was used to build the pyramid of Giza, and it seems to help with physical things, with and I mean, all the rings work on everything, but some measurements seem to work better with physical stuff when it comes to the rings. And then we use the lost cubit, or it's called the hidden cubit, because you couldn't find it in the scripture. And Hans Becker, mathematical genius, he did some calculation and came up with this measurement. So when I do sessions in a workshop, I use this one, the sacred, and the lost cubit is a little larger, and I use them in a Vesica Pisces form, put them over the chakras, and it seems to really help, because what was first? Was it the emotional or was it the physical? You know, so instead of debating, I just put both of them there, and so then we are covered. And later, I got another measurement, and I feel like this is brings the Trinity, and I call it the empowerment cubit. And just disclaimer, some people have been copying my explanation word by word, and on the internet you find measurement on the empowerment cubit. That is not the empowerment cubit measurement that we are using, because people have been, you know, counterfeiting. And so we said, we are not giving this measurement out to make it, you know, because, but someone posted a measurement, and this is not what we are using. And because sometimes people like to read my mind, so I haven't memorized the measurement, but I know where to find it. So those of you who are mind readers, don't. I get creative over the years, you know, so you gotta have some fun also. So anyway, just that you know, what we are using is not what you will find on the internet. But I could do just a whole day only on the rings. But because we have to finish at 10 Mountain Time, if you have any questions, we can do that a little later. But what Slim was an artist. He was a inventor, a researcher, and just an amazing human being. And because being an artist, after making hundreds of rings, you get a little bored. And so he thought, what else could I do with a piece of wire? And so, and you know, he studied Tesla's work and Wilhelm Reich's work, and excuse me. And so he thought, okay, I make a coil. And so this is the Sacred Cubit coil, but I also brought a lost cubit, because then you can see how it works better. And the bead on the outside is what you find on the Sacred Cubit in the inside. And so he was making this coil, and then when Jean, his wife at the time, came home from work, and she had a headache, and of course I wasn't there. I don't know where exactly, but she used the coil, and then she said, "Oh no, that's intensifying the pain. And so he turned it over, and then he was, and then she could feel Jean was a very sensitive person. She could feel the energies, and she was very attuned, obviously, with the tools. And so she was like, oh my God, you know, I can even feel that this is pulling out residues from injuries that I had a long time ago. And so Slim would always have this one in his Western jacket pocket. He would not leave the house without a ring and without the coil. And so if someone had issues, he would just say, hey, try this, and would get people the coil and to work on it. So how does the coil work? You can see we have like this longer piece where the bead is. Is it, which way can is that the best way to see it?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. We can see it fine.
Okay, perfect. So what clairvoyant noticed was when you pull in negative energy and it goes in here, and they saw it like as a dark energy, and it could have been pain, it could have been emotional stuff that's hanging around in a room. And then here where the bead is, it hits like a block wall, and that means that anything that comes to this wall gets transformed into the opposite. And so they saw that golden, like here it pulls in, and here it's coming out as a yellow golden light. And so when we are working with the coil, like when I have a headache, like it's all over here, I start where the area is, and then I start pulling away and pulling it out. And if I want to like empower my immune system, I would point the bead towards my thymus gland. So about here, so that this is where the T cells, the immune cells are built. And so this can bring more energy and more support in building a better immune system. So, or if someone collapsed, got unconscious, this would be to point with the bead to help them, awake again. So this is to remember, like the rings, they work in the area, and they seem to really have infinite beam. So like if you are out hiking and you see hail clouds coming, you could point the ring towards the hail clouds, and they can be, the hail clouds usually look like green gray color. And if you point that, it can disperse the clouds so that you have the rain. And especially in Colorado, we want to have the rain, but we don't want to have the hail. So that can actually, I always say you should have this and this in every, wherever you go, because this one actually has been helping with broken bones, the combination with a feedback loop. If you have a sprained ankle, you go hiking and put your foot in a bucket of water with that combination and the feedback loop, which I didn't bring right now, but that has been helping people, in a few hours they were back to walking. And usually I was told a sprained ankle takes quite a while to heal. So yeah, for hiking, this is something, or traveling. When I go back and forth to Europe, I always sit on a ring. I have hardly any jet lag. And also what's fun, sometimes they have turbulences. And so I'm like, okay. And, they tell, oh, we're going through a 20-minute period of blah, blah, blah. And I have two, one I sit on and the other one I have handy. And so I take it out and I scan. And one time I actually looked at the clock and I think it took 5 or 6 minutes and the turbulences were gone because I had my attention there to help with whatever is in the way that this is going to be resolved. Or on the plane also, you know, when children are crying, I mean, I don't have a problem with children noise, but some people do, especially when they want to sleep. So I take a ring and point it in the direction of the baby or children crying, and it doesn't take long and they are coming down without even seeing what I'm doing, you know. But so there are so many ways you can help with one little ring. It's just amazing. So, as I said earlier, Slim wanted to help with cleaning the air. And so here we are coming to the next important product. And of course, I'm not talking about all of them. But I wanna say, I call it the signature tools. And that was the ring, the coil, and the harmonizer. And so I didn't bring 3 rings, which is okay. So Slim had always a group of researchers, clairvoyant were amongst them. And so they were doing tests and looking at what can help the best. And so they put a couple of rings together, and they were the smaller ones. And so they said, yeah, it looks nice. Then he put another ring in. Yeah, it creates a field, but there's still something missing. So they came up with putting a coil in the center. And of course, it was the smaller version, and it looked like that. The end effect is like that. And so what the harmonizers are doing, the coil is put in the harmonizer, that it's pulling in all the pollution, all the negative stuff that is around us, and it brings out this coherent light field. So you have to imagine this is a toroidal field, and it's bringing light wherever it is. And so what we found, like this a little one, and I have that is a smaller size in silver versus this one, and they have been known to divert tornadoes, to collapse hurricanes, and we have many people who say, oh, we had tornado warning in our city. And so I activated the harmonizer. And what means activating the harmonizer is that they are, every harmonizer, and not the personal one, but the environmental and higher up, come with a CD, and that has a special environmental clearing frequency on it. And when you play the CD, the frequency through the harmonizer, the field expands even more. And so they activated it by playing the CD, and they say the satellite pictures show that the tornadoes went around our city, and the meteorologists had no idea what happened, but they say, guys, look what happened, look at the satellite picture, you know. So and it's really fascinating. One time we had I had the big one, like we call it a washtub. Slim was very very practical about giving the tools a name. Like when he made the first coil, he said, oh, one end sucks, the other end blows, so it's like a vacuum cleaner. And so this is why he got the name Aqua Coil, in case you wonder. And the washtub has the Sacred Cubit inside and the Lost Cubit outside, and it is about that size. So you just have to imagine about that size, so really big. And so there was hurricane warning on the East Coast, but before that, I asked the woman who was steward of a washtub to send it back because I was guided to update it. And so she was very concerned, and she said, oh my God, you know, and so she was watching, you know, the beginning of the forecast was there's going to be $1 million damage, you know, in the high million, maybe 7, 8 figures they were predicting. And so I said, you know, send it to me. We send it back the same day. The update doesn't take very long. And so she was watching, we sent her the tracking number. And so she was watching where the harmonizer was. And the closer it came back to her, the less the prediction of the damage was. So by the time she had the harmonizer back, it was like, yes, we had heavy rainfall and heavy wind, but nothing of the damage. I don't even remember that, if they had a power outage, and if maybe for a couple of hours, but I don't remember. So, but it was amazing, like you could see the harmonizer coming closer back to her, and the prediction went down, so you can probably tell that this is a lot of fun. when you see what the tools can do for us. And what's really important to understand, that when you're using your intention, and you can create miracles with the tools. I mean, the harmonizer is creating a toroidal field if you put your intention in there or not. But I want to tell you an example. We had one time, I live just across the field at my house. And anyway, so I came over, and one of my employees said, "Oh my God, have you looked at the sky? Did you see the chemtrails?" And it was really like this checker pattern, like, and I was like so mad. I'm like, seriously, So what I did is I went in the kitchen, and we have one of our bigger harmonizers right there. And I activated it with the CD. I put my hands around it, and talking about it, I can still feel the energy I had, because I was really, really fired up. And I said to the harmonizer, "You take care of those bloody chemtrails, okay?" And so really holding it and putting my intention in there. And next thing, and then I went in my office and did my work, and my employee came later and said, "Oh my God, I don't know what you did, but the chemtrails are gone. Look outside." And it was, and I also have a report from, different people where sometimes it took only a few minutes and the chemtrails were gone, And so those of you who work with organoids, using the harmonizers with organoids is a good idea. Or if you we had a period where we were more concerned about our health, what you can do is you can put, and there are videos on our website, you can use the harmonizer, you can put your supplements in there, you can put, I don't need to name them, but we all know that there are special antiviral and antibacterial supplements that we can put in the harmonizer to enhance the field, and the harmonizers are broadcasting that field. Excuse me. And so before, that's really important. Let me share that. So, and it was in the early 90s. Slim just had the first harmonizer, and he was called to a house where the owner was poisoned with anthrax. So they did, I think, biofeedback, and they could feel the whole area had anthrax. And so they called Slim as the last resort. And at that time, he only had a tape with the environmental clearing frequency. And Slim was also a self-taught herbalist, and he studied also with a Native American woman who told him that a puffball actually has antiviral and antibacterial properties. So he took a little bit of puffball, put it in the harmonizer, and played and put earphones on the harmonizer, played the little tape with his tape recorder, and within, I think it was an hour, or whenever they did clean the environment again, the whole area was free of all harmful bacteria and stuff that was in the air. So remember that, and maybe some of you remember, and I think that might have been about 18 years ago now or so, when anthrax was mailed to people, And so Slim would have in his personal harmonizer a little piece of puffball, so that this, our field would be always clean of anything harmful. So also if you can put your prayers in, write your affirmations, your prayers, stick it in the harmonizer. You can, if you work with essential oils, you can put some drops of the frequency of the oil you want to spread, put it on a cotton wool piece and tuck it in the harmonizer and put your intention in there to spread good energy all around you, or the special frequency of the oil you have. Alrighty, that's a short demonstration. I hope that's what you expected, Louise. So it's all up to you now.
Yeah, that's great. I wanted to hear a little bit more about the clearing project. You told us that you were having it, but what does it involve?
Yes, so the clearing project, we are launching it on March 23rd. And the launch is going to be a Zoom call with me. We have a website which is not completely done, but you are welcome to have a look at it. It's theclearingproject.org. But if you want to sign up for our newsletter wait a moment, I don't know, can I put something in the chat? So I would put the website in there.
Absolutely.
So lightlifetechnology.com. If you sign up for our newsletter there, you get informed about the launch, about the clearing project. And we want everybody who has a harmonizer, activate the harmonizer either 24/7 and just observe what happens, And we are looking for people who want to watch, check the reports of the air pollution. And I forgot to mention something fun, and that is like some of the side effects that our harmonizers have is that in cities where we had many harmonizers, crime rate dropped, suicidal rates dropped significantly in some areas, and even drug abuse and all kinds of things dropped in areas where we have the harmonizers going. So not only air pollution, but environmental pollutions. And we have some combinations of harmonizers, so the Sacred and the Lost, that seems to help with restoring the water and the lakes and the rivers. So there is much more to it. And the clearing project, so we focus 1 week on the West Coast, so that everybody gets, runs the harmonizers, people who have a harmonizer. Or if you are not on the West Coast, you can actually take a picture of the West Coast, put your harmonizer on there, put a ring around it with the intention to help with the clearing of the West Coast. And then we go to the Midwest the following months in April, and we do a launching call again and focus on the Midwest. And so this is how we are going way by way, and invite people to use their harmonizers to help with clearing the air and whatever else that might need some clearing.
That sounds awesome. So we'll go ahead and open it up for questions from everybody else.
Yeah, so I had a question. So you said the ring and the coil, they both work on the scalar wave principle, or is it a biogeometry? I mean, what is the fundamental principle?
What we were told was that whatever you put in the ring, like I have my supplements in the ring, I have I have a pull-up pantry, and I have the rings on top, where the little thing is in the vesica piscis. So whatever I have in there gets automatically energized, and so that scalar waves are everywhere, so they are just not having the same strengths everywhere. And that could be due to environmental pollution. That could be due, all the wireless technology that has a tendency to screw things up. so that this is, yeah, I gotta be careful what I'm saying, but this is what, really helps with enhancing the solar energy.
So, I mean, how does, so I could make a ring. I mean, I could take some metal and I can bend it around and make a ring. So what makes this ring different from what I would make without any special thing in it?
So this ring is twisted, but it's still one piece of wire. And the way we are, and this is like, what we are doing is, and if you try to make it yourself, you're welcome to do it. Plus, make sure to do it the right way, because if you do it the wrong way, it could be very harmful. So we take a piece of wire, we get it go back on itself, and then we twist it. And then we cut it in the lengths that we need. And also in our shop, we embed healing frequencies, special frequencies that are proprietary just to us. And so this is when you solder the wire together, you have a 0-point energy field. If you take any piece of wire and put it together, you won't have the same effect as our rings. I did a workshop in Germany after Slim's passing with my brother, and there was a participant, and my brother could see energies, and he was wondering why this guy had on one side the aura was completely black. And so at the break, he came to us and he said, by the way, I made my own ring, and my brother looked at the ring and said, oh, darn, you twisted it the wrong way. And so this was the explanation why his energy field was all dark. And so well, the first rings where they just took a piece of wire and the left spin, Bill Reed was telling me that he put one of those rings on the counter with the positive side up, but the negative side was going down into the cabinet where they had the plates. And so when Pat was taking a plate out, it was broken. The bottom was literally broken out. So the whole set of dishes was broken because the negative side was so strong. And so this is where Slim came up with the way we are twisting the wire.
So now does the rings themselves, do they automatically, like you were saying, you're putting them over things like your phone or by your computer and that type of stuff? And I'm assuming that's for EMF, pollution that is on there. Do you have to set the intention every time, or can you just like plunk one of those rings over your phone and it will just automatically take care of all the radiation and the EMF?
We have special things for the phone. And what's really cool about that is that we did some tests. Not only am I protected, but if I give you a call, your energy field is also going to be positively affected by me having my ring on that. And that is, we did a long distance test in 2007 with London. We did some 12 years later in Germany, where we had equipment on both sides where they could test the energy field of the caller and the receiver, and it's amazing. But that's a good point what you're saying. The way the wire is twisted, it creates the 0-point energy field. So when you put it over your router, any device that emits electromagnetic fields, it neutralizes the magnetic field because of the way the current is going. So you still have the electricity flowing, but you don't have the harmful effects of the EMF. Like if you put one over your smart meter, we have the 1 loss Cubit plane chain ring, and that takes care of the EMF that comes from the smart meter. you know, so I saved myself a lot of money by not having them coming out again, but putting the ring over the smart meter, and bingo. And one of my, you know, clairvoyant psychic friends, she bought a bunch for, she has 6 children and I don't know how many grandchildren, and she stuffed them and her clients with the ring. And that's so easy, you know. I mean, you don't need anything else, just put the ring over it and you're done with it.
So, and I also noticed some things on your website talking about using the harmonizers to, there were some people who were using them on their farms or with their gardens and stuff like that to
Yeah.
increase the growth and get rid of pests and all of that. Can you put more than one intention into the harmonizer or whatever? Because it seems like, you know, if it's doing one thing, then it may not be able to do another thing. I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, I mean, you know, and here I remember a story that a farmer from Laredo, and that was, I think, in 2003 or 4, somewhere around there, they had this huge drought there. And so I don't know if he had just one agricultural harmonizer, or if he got several, but not only got the rain again, but he had more harvest than ever before, a bigger crop. And, you know, the foreman's wife, who the doctor said she cannot have children, she got pregnant. So there are other side effects. And I'm not saying everyone who has a harmonizer gets pregnant, okay? So women, relax, it's not what's happening. But I'm just saying, you know, the field that is generated, you know, and we have, like, tornadoes and hurricanes have these positive ions which are harmful to us, and the harmonizers seem to create negative ions and override the positive ones. And the more harmonizer we have in an area, the denser the light field will be. And this is why our intention is to have more harmonizers in areas. You know, like we are in the process of finishing up a map so you can see where we have harmonizers all over, not the planet, we are not done, but the US. And so you see in areas where we don't have so many harmonizers, they are more tornado damaging and other stuff. Or what happened in Ohio, it would be awesome to have more harmonizers there to help with cleaning the air there. And the more we have, you know, the less stuff like that can happen, can negatively affect ourselves, you know. So this is why it's my intention to get as many out, because the power is amazing, you know. So
Now you were saying something about it changed the taste of the water. Have you tested anything to see if it takes out the pollution, the microplastics, the PCBs, that type of stuff out of the water as well?
We haven't had the possibility to do tests like that yet, but if someone in your group has could do that for us, that would be awesome. You know, right now we are totally understaffed. If someone wants to start working for us in Colorado, then please send your resume to me. We are really looking for more people helping us. Right now we are totally understaffed. So, but anyone who can really, you know, we have a ton of ideas, so but we need people who can actually help us put them into practice, and you know, like go out and have it tested and things like that. But I have amazing pictures of the what the water crystals look like, you know, the Emoto pictures. I don't know, I cannot share my screen, but I could show you a few. Oh, yes, I can actually. Wait, give me a second. Wait a moment, let me just pull a picture up. Let me just pull a picture up here. So where are we? Where are we? Okay, go here. Share my screen. Alrighty, so that is a crystal picture that was taken in a lab in Switzerland, and that was taken with this ring. I don't know if you can see the ring.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating about that is like they usually our associates in Munich sends samples of water to the lab, and it's there in a couple of days. And those samples were 2 weeks in the mail. And so this is why, and then you get pictures like that. And this is what also tells us that the water holds the energy of the tools much longer than we originally anticipated.
So what would the water crystal look like if it hadn't been within that ring or the toroidal field?
Yeah, let me just see if I find the picture. We had, where would I find that? It looks very distorted.
Okay.
It looks, do I have it here? Let me just give me a second. I hope I find that. Yeah, it has no crystal structure.
Oh, okay.
It has no crystal structure. Okay, right here. Share screen. This is what it looks like. This is what tap water in Germany looks like.
Wow.
And so you get an idea and what that is. And wait a moment. Okay, let me just pull up another picture. And this was what the water looks like if you just put a ring over your faucet, and immediately, you know, like the less than a second what it takes to go through the faucet, comes out of the faucet when you have a ring over there. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, all of a sudden you can see all the crystalline structures in there. Yeah.
Exactly. And the longer you leave the water in the crystal, the stronger the field is going to be. And so, yeah.
So it looks like we are a couple minutes. You said you had a meeting at 10, so it looks like we're at 9:58. So does anyone have any other quick questions that they would like to ask Katharina?
I don't know about quick, but that was amazing.
I cannot hear you.
Oh no, we can't hear anything, huh? Hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right. Hey, I don't know if it's quick, but that was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the next generation of doing things along these lines myself, working on, but I love hearing the humanization of Slim, because I don't know the man. I know some of the technology, but I didn't know the man. So this is really, really good. And I was wondering for your you had mentioned obviously some of the key names he'd studied, like Wilhelm Reich and such. And I was wondering, is there anything he's doing in the realm of clearing the sky where you've combined some of that orgonite quality? And
exactly. You know, you can use the orgonite devices in combination with the harmonizer, and that is very powerful too. Yes, absolutely, you can do that.
Is there anything you have to show that's that, or anything I could go look up, maybe other people continuing and merging those two?
I cannot think of anything right now, but also what I want to tell you is, like, what we learned was when you put the quartz crystal in the harmonizer, the quartz crystal amplifies the energy of the harmonizer, and if you put the gemstone in there, the harmonizer amplifies the energy of the gemstone. You know, like, so depending what you want to do and what you have, just remember that this is something you can do.
And I've seen something, and I was assuming it was related to Slim's work, but I've seen something similar to what you're holding, but instead of it being an orb, it looked almost more like a lantern, like it kind of had a pointed top and a terminated bottom. But again, it had that wrapping around it, and people have been using that. There's a guy, for instance, in Arizona that has been using combinations, I think, of Spurling's work with Reich. He has endeavored to literally restore the environment in Arizona, and he has done such. So in the last 2 years, he's brought in the 2 wettest rain seasons. He goes by Mitch, the Orgone donor. That's his kind of handle. I don't know if you have any affiliation, but he's doing really great work if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I don't know him. I know that we have quite a few harmonizers in Arizona, like the washtubs and other things. And, you know, I think there's so much more out there than when Slim started.
Yeah.
And what I love is to see technologies work together, you know, that because what we all want is making a difference, a positive impact, and we all want to get healthier, and we all want to thrive. And so it's not like one thing is fit for all, but when we, excuse me, when we work together, we can make the best difference on the planet, because we all want to thrive, we all want to stay healthy, you know, and that's my goal.
That's amazing. And was that shaped device that I was describing? Was that one of Slim's, or is that a post?
No, that's not one of Slim's.
Okay.
But since his passing, if you go to our website, you will find the pyramid, and we have pyramid pendants, and we have pyramid units, and they have done amazing work also. You know, like and on different areas. Like a friend of mine in Peru was, you know, had voodoo spell on her, and we sent her a pyramid, and that was the end of that. You know, so we have a lot of good stuff.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do we need to cut this short to let you get to your next appointment? Is that?
Yeah, if it's a burning question, I'm happy to.
Well, I think, yeah, but I think we'll go ahead and let you go, because we don't want to hold you up from your next meeting. But thank you so much for taking time to talk to our group. It was great.
Thank you. I really enjoyed meeting you all, and you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And maybe we have another opportunity some other time if you have more questions, so we can go more into detail with other things.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, blessings to you all. I enjoyed being with you. Thank you for the
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.